start at the end of the story. 2,000 years after the fact, one shape has outdistanced every other symbol human beings have ever made. It's on mountaintops and around necks, stitched into flags, marked over doorways and over graves. Two lines crossing, a vertical, a horizontal. That's all. Something so simple a child draws it without thinking. Something so common we've stopped seeing it. Something, underneath all that familiarity, far stranger than we remember. So tonight, let's run the story backward. From the shape that's everywhere now, back to what it was before it meant anything at all, and see what's been hiding at the center the whole time. Rewind then. Before it was jewelry, it was architecture. The ground plan of the great cathedrals, whole buildings laid out as a cross, so that people walked through the shape for hours without once realizing they were standing inside it. Rewind further. Before the cathedrals, it was a private sign, traced quietly in the air, in centuries when to make it openly could cost you your life. Further still, and the shape narrows down to a single event, an execution. On a hill, under an ordinary sky. A Roman method of killing, chosen precisely because it was slow, public, and humiliating. There is nothing gentle here. The symbol the world would eventually cover in gold began as the worst thing the ancient world knew how to do to a human body: crucifixion. And this is the first strange turn. A device of death became a sign of life. The instrument of total defeat became the emblem of victory. Hold that reversal a moment. We'll come back to it. Keep rewinding, past the event itself, and something unexpected appears. The crossed shape is older than the story attached to it. Older, and almost everywhere. Long before, human beings were already drawing two lines meeting at a center. The point where the four directions cross. Where the flat plane of the earth meets the rising line of the sky. Cultures that never met one another kept arriving at the same figure to mean the same thing. Here, the center, the place where opposites touch. Which suggests the shape was carrying meaning long before it carried a name. And it hints at why the later story fastened onto it so completely. The cross was already the human sign for the meeting of two worlds. Now the scale shifts, and this is where the mystics have always lived. Look at the shape itself as a diagram. One line runs vertical, earth to sky, the human reaching up and whatever is above reaching down. And one line runs horizontal, the world of time, left to right, past to future, person to person, the plane we actually live on. And they meet. Not side by side, they cross. They intersect at a single point. And that point of intersection is the entire symbol, because the vertical alone is escape, pure ascent, leaving the world behind. And the horizontal alone is exile, pure spread, a life all surface, no height and no depth. Neither line is the answer. The meaning is only ever at the crossing, where the timeless breaks into time, where a human life and something beyond it intersect, and the price of that meeting is written into the shape. They don't merge painlessly, they cut across each other. This is what contemplatives from Paul onward read into it. The Apostle Paul wrote of being crucified with Christ. Many later mystics took that phrase inward and never let it go. Not a fact about geography, they said, but something happening inside a person. The cross became, for them, the very shape of transformation. The vertical, your longing for something higher. The horizontal, your actual life, with its limits and its griefs. And a self is remade only at the point where the two are held together instead of torn apart. Which means the crossbeam was never only outside you. Centuries later, the psychologist Carl Jung looked at the same figure and saw something that rhymed with all of this. To him, the cross was one of humanity's oldest images of wholeness, 4 points reaching out from one center. A picture, he suggested, of a self that has stopped splitting itself in two and finally come together. Different language, different century, the same crossing point. The old contemplatives had a phrase for this that they treasured: the meeting of opposites. The place where things that should cancel each other out are instead held in the same hand. High and low, time and the timeless, losing and finding. A cross, in their eyes, wasn't a picture of one of those winning. It was a picture of both, pinned to the same center and somehow not tearing it apart. They thought that was the most honest shape anyone had ever drawn for the spiritual life. Not a ladder climbing cleanly away from the world, a crossing that keeps you in it. And notice how different that is from wearing the symbol on the outside. Traditions vary here, and it's worth being honest about it. For many, across the centuries, the cross has been first of all a public sign of belief, an event to be remembered and revered. The mystics didn't deny any of that. They simply pressed further in and asked what the shape might be doing inside a person who really looked at it. Both readings have lived side by side the whole time. Tonight, we're following the inner one, as far down as it goes. There's a paradox here worth sitting with, the kind that doesn't resolve on command. The symbol claims that the way up runs straight through the thing you'd most avoid. That something in you has to be laid down across the beam, the grasping and defended self, so that something truer can rise on the vertical. Death and life in the same figure at the same instant, not one after the other, at once. Sit with that. Don't rush to solve it. Now bring the scale all the way back down. From the cosmic to the size of a single chest rising and falling in the dark. Every person carries both lines. The pull upward, toward meaning, toward whatever you'd call sacred. And the pull outward, across the ordinary hours, the people beside you, the work of the day. Most of the ache in a life comes from feeling those two directions tear at each other. The cross is the ancient claim that they were never meant to be chosen between. They're meant to cross. And you are the point where they do. So let's return to the ending we started with, the shape that's everywhere now, on the mountaintops, around the necks, over the graves. We called it familiar, but run the whole story back and forward again, and the two crossed lines stop being someone else's emblem worn on the outside. They become a diagram of the one place every human life is actually built. The intersection of the height we reach for and the ground we stand on. And that's what makes it strange to see today. Look at how many of us now live almost entirely on the horizontal. A glowing rectangle in the hand, an endless scroll sideways through the hours, motion without height, reach without depth. The mystics would recognize the ache in it instantly. A life gone all horizontal, one line where there should be two, still quietly waiting for the vertical to cross it. The cross was never only a thing that happened to someone else, long ago on a hill. It's also a map of the crossing point inside you. And it's still there tonight, wherever your reaching meets your living, waiting to be recognized. Keep seeking.